Toyota just disclosed to the public that human error left Toyota and Lexus's certain customer data exposed to the public. It's like Toyota checked all the main gates but accidentally left a side door open. And if you think that's bad, it only gets worse. Not only was the data publicly exposed, but it was accessible for 10 full years. This impacts nearly all Toyota and Lexus customers who signed up for its main cloud service platform. We're talking more than 2 million users here. We're talking about the recent Toyota leak. We'll also be looking at some of the largest data leaks that have happened across various industries. Tell you, you're unknowingly giving away data to WhatsApp and Meta, the company formerly known as Facebook. Regarding the latest data leak, Toyota publicly apologized, of course, although they downplayed the unfortunate fiasco as an inconvenience to customers, rather than something heavier like vulnerability or invasion of privacy. Anyway, it said it'll implement more security measures to block access from the outside. If you're wondering exactly what data was leaked, well, it included information like your car's location with time data, the in-vehicle GPS navigation terminal ID number, and a chassis number. In other words, unauthorized users could have potentially accessed historical and even real-time location of more than 2 million Toyota and Lexus's cars. Now, this didn't include any of the ones I own because they're so old, they don't have any of that stuff on them. Another advantage of older cars. Now, this data leak impacts customers who signed up for the cloud service between November 2013 till April of this year. But now, let's be clear about something. Just because certain data was exposed and accessible doesn't mean that a hacker could then identify a specific user with that data. For hackers to get that private information and track your identity, they'd also need to have your vehicle identification number, or VIN for short. Now, all that said, a car's VIN isn't that difficult to access. So, theoretically speaking, it's possible for someone to have tied your car to your identity. If you think that's scary, well, Toyota later released a second statement. Basically, it stated that video recordings taken outside the vehicle were also possibly exposed in this incident. Specifically, it impacts the video recordings between November 2016 to April 2023. That's close to 7 whole years of exposure. Toyota said the data leak was due to insufficient explanation and thoroughness of data handling rules. Toyota said it would send individual apologies to impacted customers and set up a dedicated call center to handle concerns, questions, and requests. It also said it will educate employees and work to prevent this from happening again. It also intended to introduce a system to audit cloud settings, conduct a settings survey of the cloud environment, and build a system to monitor the settings status on an ongoing basis. You got to give Toyota credit for coming clean and jumping to address the issue. Now, this isn't the first time Toyota had to publicly admit and apologize for customers' data being compromised. Last October 2022, Toyota issued an apology after it discovered that third parties might have gained unauthorized access to customer details between December 2017 and September 2022. That particular breach happened after a section of the source code for T-Connect, which is a Toyota app that allows customers to connect their phone to their car, had been posted on GitHub back in December 2017. It turns out the source code contained an access key to the server, meaning hackers had access to private customer data for nearly 5 years. Here's the thing, data leaks are nothing new. To be honest, it's inevitable. That's because any and every computer-based system is built by imperfect people. If you think the Toyota data leak's bad, actually, there are many others outside the car industry that are far worse. For example, in 2019, an insurance provider, First American Financial Corporation, accidentally leaked 885 million user records, which dated back as far as 2003. I'm talking about super sensitive personal information, like customers' social security numbers, bank accounts, tax records, and other sensitive information that were recorded on title and escrow documents. Apparently, the breach was caused by a design defect on the company's website. Talk about inviting identity theft. If you're one of nearly 3 billion people who use Facebook today, there's a chance that your personal data was leaked a few years ago and has been floating around ever since. Back in 2019, a security researcher discovered a Facebook data leak that impacted 533 million accounts. I'm talking account names, Facebook IDs, phone numbers, comments, and more. To make matter worse, 2 years later in 2021, the exposed data popped up in a hacking forum. Facebook downplayed it, stating that the leaked personnel data came from public information that was already available on a site anyway. Most people don't remember Yahoo so much these days, but back in September 2016, Yahoo dropped a bombshell when it notified the public that 500 million user accounts had been breached in a 2014 cyber attack. Barely 3 months later, Yahoo came forward again stating it discovered yet another breach. Anyway, at the time of the announcement, Yahoo estimated around 1 billion user accounts had been affected. But then the FBI got involved. FBI investigators found that the breach impacted not one, not two, but all 3 billion Yahoo user accounts. Apparently, the hackers responsible have been hired by Russia's Federal Security Service, or FSB, for the purpose of gaining information belonging to several high-profile people. If you're wondering how it all happened, well, basically, 2 hackers sent Yahoo employees a series of phishing emails that contained a malware download link. Evidently, someone fell for the bait and clicked on the link. The hackers then got access to the entire Yahoo network. I'm talking about information like names, phone numbers, security questions and answers, password recovery emails, and a cryptographic value that was unique to each account. Anyway, Yahoo agreed to create a settlement fund worth $118 million to compensate users for damages that may have caused, although if you do the math, that's really nothing. If you're talking about 3 billion users. I'll give you another example. Back in 2017, there was a major breach at Equifax, which is one of America's top credit bureaus. Turns out private records were exposed from almost 148 million Americans, 15 million Brits, and 19,000 Canadians. Fast forward 3 years later to 2020. The U.S. government indicted members of China's People's Liberation Army for the Equifax data breach, theft of personal private information. But let's jump back to the present. Right now, chances are that many of you use the WhatsApp messaging app. Over 2 billion people globally across 180 countries use WhatsApp each month, making it one of the most popular messaging apps out there. But here's the thing about WhatsApp that most Americans don't know, or if they do know, they don't fully understand what it means. WhatsApp is owned by the company Meta, which is the company known formerly as Facebook. There's a lot of ramifications because of this. Think about the integration. It means some of your data in WhatsApp is being shared right now with Meta to customize its user experience. But did you know that last November, someone posted an ad on a well-known hacking community forum claiming that they were selling 2022 database of 487 million WhatsApp user mobile numbers? Allegedly, it contained WhatsApp user data for 84 countries. The database allegedly included 32 million American user records, 45 million records from Egypt, 35 million from Italy, 29 million from Saudi Arabia, 20 million from Turkey, 20 million from France, 11 million from the UK, 10 million from Russia, and so forth. If you happen to be a part of the stolen database, chances are you're getting calls or texts from unknown numbers. They could be scammers trying to fish for your private information. So what does all this mean? Here's the bottom line. Don't share any personal private information or PPI on WhatsApp. Trust me on this one. Not many Americans have ever heard of Signal Private Messenger app. Reason is, it's a small user base, just 140 million users to date. But stop and think about this for a moment. Signal was the messaging app of choice for whistleblowers like Ed Snowden, journalists, government officials, CEOs like Elon Musk, celebrities, and people who are under persecution. Reason why is because it's far more secure than WhatsApp, which caters to the mainstream. Signal is free, and it's easy to use. The main functions are pretty much the same as any messaging app, but the difference is it offers way more privacy than most other apps. First of all, Signal is run by an independent, nonprofit organization. What it means is this: if you don't share your data with third parties because it has no commercial interest. With Signal, your messages are encrypted end-to-end. On top of that, all messages are stored locally, not on the server. Your metadata is also encrypted. If you prioritize privacy, Signal is one of the best, if not the best app currently available on the market. If you want to put this into perspective, just compare what information WhatsApp collects from you versus what Signal collects. You can literally see for yourself, and this might blow your mind. Let's assume you have an iPhone. Go to the App Store, search for Signal Private Messenger, click on it. Next, you'll see a section titled App Privacy, and nearby, you'll see a link for See Details. The thing is, Apple requires all app developers to disclose what information it collects from you. So here you can see everything Signal collects from you. As you see, it only collects your contact information, which is your phone number. But even then, the data isn't linked to you. Notice that Signal doesn't collect your name, your contacts, message contents, or any other data. But now, search for WhatsApp in the Apple App Store. Look at App Privacy. You can see that WhatsApp collects more data from you. Plus, it links that data to you. To make it worse, click on See Details and you'll see that there's way more data that WhatsApp collects from you. Sadly, most Americans don't know they're being had. Most people don't stop to read what an app collects from them before they download an app for their smartphone. For the most part, we want to trust law enforcement. But what about corrupt leaders that restrict freedom? Just think about all the countries with powerful governments that use law enforcement to persecute people because of religion, for example. Especially in those areas, privacy and security is even more important. Well, get this, if WhatsApp gets requests from law enforcement to share their personal user information, the company will release the information. All it takes is a court order and a search warrant. Signal Private Messenger, on the other hand, knows almost nothing about you besides your phone number. The best information Signal can give is when your account was created and the date it connected to the Signal service. That's it. I'll close today by sharing a few tips on how to prevent PPI theft. First things first, always create and maintain a strong and unique password for each and every account you have. Never use the same password from one account to another account. And please don't use a simple password like your birthday or your name. Instead, make a password with a combination of lowercase and uppercase letters, numbers, and symbols, and also change the password every so often. Now here's another trick. Consider using a secure password manager. It's an app where you store all your usernames and passwords, and you only need to remember one main password to open the app. It also helps you generate super strong passwords. Also, whenever you get an email, SMS, or text message, don't click a link on the body of the message if it's from someone you don't know personally, or even if it's from someone you know if the message sounds or looks suspicious. You should also consider installing antivirus software, anti-spyware software, and a firewall if you haven't already. And look, social media can be a useful tool if you use it wisely, but don't overshare on social media where opportunists are standing by for you to reveal something that can give them access to private, personal information. Here are some other things that most people don't think about. Don't let people or companies scan your driver's license willy-nilly. For example, let's say you go to a dealership for a test drive. The dealership asks to scan and digitally store your driver's license. Ask the dealership if it's mandatory, or if they can show it to them visually for verification. Worst case, ask if they can manually type in your info rather than digitally scanning and storing it. Or if anyone asks for your social security number for verification purposes, don't be afraid to tell them with all the identity stuff going on you'd prefer not to give them your social. Then ask them if you can give them another form of information as verification instead. Believe it or not, you'll find in many cases they'll be okay with you providing an alternative form. If you like this video, please share, like, and subscribe. Thanks for your support.